I got a song. Don't cheat.
All right, I gotta guess it.
Well, tell me if you recognize
I've been doing
it.
some trivia too, and they've been playing a lot of
A lot of 80s, 70s?
a lot of songs, and I'm actually not too bad at it.
Okay.
I get about half.
All right. Let me know if you recognize the artist. Give you a little more juice.
You always like these one-hit wonders.
This is not a one-hit wonder, by the way. Definitely not a one-hit.
It's not a one-hit wonder.
No.
I mean, it's definitely familiar. 100%.
And this is, I'm telling you right now, this is not a one-hit wonder.
I should know this.
Yeah.
Every
all right.
song that you play, I'm like, I should know this.
Here it comes.
Every song.
Here comes the meat. Ready?
Hungry Like a Wolf.
That's right.
Is that the name of the song?
It is
But
the name of the song.
I don't know the artist.
You don't know the artist?
No, I don't.
Wow. So they're definitely not a one-hit wonder. That is Duran Duran.
Oh yeah,
That's right. Ricky
I should have known that.
Ricky's
Ricky
got
was
it.
all over that.
Yep, Hungry Like the Wolf, Duran Duran. They have many hits. I've become recently more of a Duran Duran fan since I'm on my 80s kick, so.
Yeah.
A lot of that
I mean,
stuff.
sometimes at work, I'm like, let's just listen to 80s. It's an 80s day, 90s day, but 80s is definitely there for me.
It takes you
sometimes.
back, It's
It
got
does.
a lot of mellow
I am an
sounds.
80s baby, too.
Yeah, me too. Got a lot of saxophone going on, right?
Yeah, I was born in 89. I qualify.
Look at you, just sneaking in there. Huh?
I wish I didn't, but I am.
Why would you say something like
well,
that?
I mean, I'm just a little bit older now.
Well, sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
I wish I was a little younger now.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, 10 years ago, it was cool.
Oh, yeah, of course.
When I was in my 20s, it was
Right.
like,
I was born in 89.
Yeah, man.
When were you born? 91?
Now, I think 2000 would be a sick year to be born in. It'd be so easy to know your age.
It's unique, right?
I mean, you born 2000s, 2022?
Well, it was kind of
22.
You know, it was wild and kind of showed like my age last year when I noticed that, because last year was 2021, right?
Yeah.
When I noticed that people that were eligible to drink were born in the year 2000, and I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit.
Yeah, when they check your ID, they see the 19, like, oh, you're good.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
They
you
really gotta check that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got 19 in the front?
Yeah, once you're in the 19, you're
doesn't
good
matter.
to go, man.
You're good for everything now.
Uh-huh.
What is up, everybody?
What's up?
Swag's here with Earl. We're back.
I'm here. We're back, baby.
I know we had a little hiatus there. We had been going every week, going strong. Unfortunately, your boy got COVID.
I got COVID.
I got COVID.
But I handled it a little better. I was ready to go.
Yeah, I got knocked down a little bit. Took me a little longer to get back on my feet. To my defense,
Okay.
I have not been sick in like 4 years. So I was kind of due for like just a sickness that would hang around. Plus, it's funny that Bob's on, I see him on the live feed. He and I talked about this. Anytime I get like a head cold, if I get a common cold, dude, I have it for like 10 days. Because I'm like always coughing crap up and like it takes my body forever to like get rid of the phlegm. I don't know.
I had a head cold, and I had like the aches. But it only lasted like 2 days.
That's not bad.
It only lasted like 2 days. Then I'm like, all right, let's go back to work. And it's just like, well, why don't you make sure and take a test?
Yeah.
And it took me like a week to get a negative one, but I was good after 2 days. I mean, it's no big deal.
That's not bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was like stay home, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll stay home for a week.
Yeah.
It took a week to get a negative test, but
Yeah.
I pretty much kicked COVID's ass.
Nice. Well,
it wasn't bad.
I don't want to talk too much about COVID,
Yeah,
right? But of course
exactly.
we will. Over the break.
That's
it
our
seemed
excuse because we weren't here.
Yeah, it seems like everybody got COVID, right? Like
Yeah.
I had so many people got it over the break. So hopefully
Everyone's got it.
everybody out there, if you got it, if you didn't, you were safe, you've recovered. We're moving on. We got tons of sports to talk about. So
Oh, yeah.
if you heard Earl and I when we were queuing up the podcast today, we were kind of just talking about, what the theme of what the podcast was going to be, what song I was going to play, right? And, it was supposed to be a Super Bowl podcast, but then huge news today, which of course we have to lead with. Ben Simmons traded to the Nets for James Harden. So I'll give you the full details of the trade deal, and then I'll let Earl give his first reaction, and we'll talk through it.
Sounds good.
So, as I said, Simmons to the Nets, Harden to the Sixers. The Sixers also give up Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 future first-round draft picks. The Nets also send over Paul Millsap. So, at first glance, the Millsap-Drummond thing, I don't know if the Nets really want to Drummond. Millsap is kind of a mid-level exception, so I'm guessing that was like more for contracts, but I could be wrong. But what's your initial reaction to the deal, Earl?
I mean, I really like it.
Tell me why.
I like it a lot. I mean, for number one, we got rid of Ben Simmons.
Okay.
For number one, I mean, it was pretty much we got rid of a guy. He didn't want to play for us, right? It was like, it was pretty much just get rid of him. We gave him a shot, 5 years. People say, oh, give him more time. We gave him 5 years, man. He didn't want to play for us. Get something for him. People were saying, oh, get Bradley Beal. We got James Harden. Love him. So we got the best player in the draft. Yeah, we gave up Drummond. He's the backup center, but he's on a 1-year contract.
True.
He's pretty much nothing. He was a good backup. I liked him. Backup for Embiid. And Seth Curry, another guy we got for free. We just paid him money. I mean, yeah, he's a good shooter, but we got Harden for that. And again, we got rid of Simmons. The guy's mentally weak, man. It's just like I was just sick of it, man.
Okay.
And I don't think he's going to do too well in New York. Well, Brooklyn.
Really?
But, oh no. There's going to be a lot of pressure over there. You don't think so?
I don't know. I mean, he gets to run behind KD. He gets to run behind Kyrie whenever, the COVID bans get lifted. So he might be able to sneak under the radar there.
They don't even know when Simmons is coming back.
Well,
they're going to ease him in there.
I think the first question for the Nets has got to be what kind of condition is Ben in now. I'm not talking about his physical condition because we know Ben keeps himself in great shape. But there's a difference between being in basketball shape, right, and being in just shape. So that's a question. So Ricky chimes in. Ricky, I saw Ricky react, and I wanted to bring his commentary in because he was all about this deal. He says he's finally out of Sixers purgatory, and he won't watch the team until Simmons was off.
He's back on the bandwagon, baby.
Yeah, so he's back. So this is an interesting conversation for me. I can't disagree with anything that you said, right?
Yeah.
Now, for me, I've actually been talking about this. I got asked about this last weekend about Harden, and so I said I really wasn't a huge fan of the deal. Now,
okay, let's hear why.
Taking a step back, everyone knows that I have been probably one of the biggest Ben Simmons supporters in town, right?
Yes, so was I. I like the kid
because I always saw just the raw talent, the athleticism, the size, right? And I always made the statement: if you were building your prototypical NBA player, right, like at a factory, he would look like Ben Simmons, right? Like that's what you want physically out of an NBA player. He's long, he's quick, he's athletic, he can handle the ball, right? So we anyway. But we've obviously ad nauseum, and everyone in the city knows about his offensive shortcomings, right? So we really don't need to revisit.
Yeah, we
that
thought
stuff.
we thought he was coming back too. We were accepting him back for this season.
And I had talked about that, and we talked about this on the podcast. Yeah. If Ben would not have kind of handled the situation poorly where he just kind of went into a shell, and didn't want to face the music. If he came back, said he put some work in, right, did the work and took the lumps, this city would love him, right? Because he'd be like, oh, he's a tough kid.
He got a therapist.
Yeah, he's a tough kid. He's a Philly kid. But instead, he took the other route, which is unfortunate, and never came back. So Ricky said he's your 2K character. That's true, right? Like when you build a character, you build Ben Simmons.
But he can shoot a little bit, though.
Well,
he can make foul shots at least.
Right. So then taking that to the next level, the one thing I'm skeptical about with this deal is Harden himself, right? In the past, I'm not going to deny what James Harden is as a player and a scorer, right? We know that. But in the past, when we've talked about guys like Harden and Westbrook, the usage rate that these guys need to put up their numbers is always just, Westbrook and Harden have been 1-2 in usage rate in the league for years. And and that's very inefficient, right? And so in order for him to play alongside a guy like Joel Embiid, who also wants to touch the ball a lot, right? Yeah. Can they coexist? Well, I'm not saying they can't. Not saying they can't because this could be a dynamic, right? If Harden and goes without saying is motivated, gets himself into a little bit better shape, and key is for him obviously can he stay healthy?
So, yeah, he has been a little banged up, and that's why the Nets haven't been that good this year.
That's right.
Well, because Harden's been banged up last year in the playoffs.
That's right.
But he took a couple games off. Let's just hope that's not the case.
Right.
And that's the thing about Simmons. The guy doesn't really get hurt.
Exactly.
So
Ben Simmons.
And I was hearing the Nets are pretty happy about this deal. But,
absolutely.
But then again, as a Philly guy, I don't think they really know what they're getting.
Well, I think that the thought with any team bringing Ben in is it's a fresh start, right?
Yeah, sure.
And you're gonna bring him around slowly or slower than I guess the Sixers fans or front office expected him to develop offensively, right? He can go to Brooklyn and just do what he does, which is run the floor, play great defense, grab rebounds. He's incredible in transition, right? We all know about what Ben does and what he doesn't do, but what he doesn't have to do there is shoot, right? Because they've got shooters.
We'll see what happens. I mean, he might have to go up for a dunk and
Wow.
maybe pass it off. Well, if Drummond's on the floor, he can't shoot. I mean, if Drummond and so they're gonna have this. Well, I mean, if we're talking about the Nets and what they're going through with the deal, yeah. I mean, there's a chance he plays good, but I mean, I just don't. Like I said, I'm not too worried about the Nets. I'm happy that the Sixers got it. Like, we got the best player in the deal, and I think we really have a good shot at the finals now. I really do think that Daryl Morey made a hell of a deal. He waited as long as he could, and he got it done. He got it. And everyone doubted him. I think.
So that's really the next question, right? Is where does this leave the Sixers and the Nets in terms of the Eastern Conference, right? Because you've got now the Nets, who Kyrie has been playing, but they've got the bans. He can't play any home games. As these sanctions are starting to lift, he may start to play more now. And don't forget, Nets.
I don't know if they're easing off at all.
The Nets are also bringing in Seth Curry, right?
Yeah, he hasn't had a good year.
He hasn't had a great year, but now
he put a couple good years in for us.
He's a good shooter.
Oh, for sure.
So you've got the Bucks in the East. The Heat are the number 1 seed right now, but I don't think the Heat are really a championship team, right? My opinion. So the East is kind of wide open. So the Sixers and the Nets.
Well, you got the Bucks there too.
Right.
I still think the Bucks are the favorite to get.
I agree. I think the Bucks still have to be conquered in the East, right? You're gonna have to go through them, but I think this makes both the Sixers and the Nets significantly better.
Yeah, I mean, well, who do you think has the best starting five? I think that. I mean. So the Sixers, I even wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. So Joel at the 5. I guess Toby Harris would have to be the 4.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who else do you have? They don't have a power forward. So, and they got Thibault and Maxey. That's the one good thing I liked. They kept the young guys.
They were able to make
a lot of people are like, dude, don't trade the young guys, and we kept on to them.
That's a good point out of you.
I like the young guys. Thibault and Maxey are really coming along well.
They're both very nice young players, and you didn't want to see us have to give those guys up.
No.
I heard a lot of people. Actually, let me. Let me comment on So J-Dub just chimed in. He said, could the 2021-22 Lakers hang with our intramural squad? So J-Dub and I had an intramural squad at Westchester that won 3 straight championships. We had a pretty good team that we put together. So
there you go.
After we talk about this, J-Dub, we'll talk about the Lakers and what's going on there. That's seeming pretty poor. But back to what you were saying. So it was nice to keep the young kids, and a lot of people are focusing on the Sixers giving up the 2 first-round draft picks, right? But let's be honest. The Sixers are finishing top 3, top 4 in the Eastern Conference the last couple of years. Yeah, those draft picks are going to be late first round, so who gives a shit?
Oh, yeah, well, they gave him the first rounder this year, so that's going to be a late one.
Exactly.
And they gave him a 2027?
Yeah.
It's just like, all right.
Right, whatever.
I mean, because the Nets gave up a ton of draft picks for him. I mean, they pretty much gave up 22 to 27 the first round
right.
for Harden.
That's right.
And we gave up a guy that we didn't want.
Right.
Nobody wanted, and a guy on a 1-year contract. And Seth Curry, which is everyone likes Curry.
He's an above average shooter.
Well, we got James Harden, and so James Harden. He's a really good shooter.
Yes.
So I mean,
Ricky says you're on point tonight, Earl.
Thanks, Rick. I try to be on point. Had a coffee before I got here to make sure I was.
He's raring to go.
Talking my words right.
So to talk to J-Dub's comment, the Lakers are a nightmare right now. I don't know if you've seen.
The Lakers?
They lost last night to a Blazers team playing with half their starters.
Yeah,
Anthony
Davis. Are they
Davis,
going to make the playoffs?
They're 2 games below 500.
Really?
No team, I saw a stat, no team through 55 NBA games has ever won the NBA championship at their record. 2 games under 500.
Well,
they look old and bad real fast.
And LeBron's the best player in the team and the oldest.
Bron looks tired.
I heard he was still doing his numbers and still doing his thing.
Bron looks tired. Anthony Davis looks hurt. He didn't even take a shot in the fourth quarter. That team, man, talk about falling off quick.
I mean, when they got Russell Westbrook, I'm like, I just don't think he fits in any scheme, any team.
I know.
He just give me the ball, and you finally give him the ball, and he just jacks up a brick.
I know.
He's like that one guy on your team. You're like, dude, don't pass him the ball. He's gonna brick it. And that's Westbrook.
But then the guy, he chases the dude down the floor, steals it from him, right? Makes a great play, and you're like, oh, he's still a good player, right?
Well, plus his turnover rate's unreal.
Yeah, and again, I just brought this up.
One thing about Harden, though, he averages a good amount of assists.
He does.
He's going to get a 10, 11 assists.
Well, he always has the ball in his hand, right? So that's part of it. But also with Westbrook, I just talked about it. The same thing with Harden, that usage rate. In order for them to get the numbers that they get, they need the ball in their hands all the time. Now, Harden obviously is a much more proficient offensive and efficient offensive player than Russ is, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. When Russ went to the Lakers, I didn't see it. And don't get me wrong, I love Russ. I've been a Russ fan forever. I love his athleticism. I said in the middle of his career, I thought he was one of the best twitch athletes I'd ever seen.
Yeah, he's
his
good.
quickness, his leaping ability, like how quick he moves. But I felt like sometimes Russ would move too fast for his body. Like he would go to make a crossover and he'd leave the ball behind him.
Sure.
Like he's just such a great natural twitch athlete. But he doesn't have great basketball skills. Like he's never been a good shooter, right? He turns
was
the
an
ball
average
over a
shooter,
lot.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I didn't know what kind of fit he would be there.
He's like Ben Simmons, you know. He just has his numbers, and that's all he cares about.
I disagree with that. I think
Ben
Russ.
Simmons, cool. Come on, man.
But Russ is tenacious.
He wants his assists.
If you challenge Russ at the rim, he's coming down the floor next and dunking on your ass. Like
Yeah,
Russ
same-
is a
same with
tenacious
Simmons.
guy.
Well, when he's playing good. I mean, he's not the MVP of the league, Simmons. But I mean, I've never really been a fan of Westbrook. But I mean, I mean, he was MVP. Wasn't he on the Thunder?
I think Russ may have won an MVP. I'll have to check.
Yeah,
I'll check that.
I mean, he's definitely a good player. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't see the fit. You know, he needed the ball. LeBron's needed the ball, and I mean, and I guess what's his name is hurt right now, banged up.
Anthony Davis.
I was gonna call him the unibrow, but yeah, Anthony Davis is banged up, and that's all they got. I mean, I guess who cares about the Lakers?
Yeah, well, I mean,
good. They stink.
Everybody, right? Everybody cares about the Lakers, but the crazy thing is how quick they've fallen off. So,
go ahead.
I'm looking.
But also, like a nice thing that Simmons is staying on the east side, so Boston people, Philly guy, everyone's in drivable distance to fucking boo this guy. That's gonna be great. In March 10th, baby. March 10th, I was hearing at home against the Brooklyn Nets. That's gonna be a good one.
Russ did win the MVP.
I thought he did.
Yes, the year that
He
he
averaged a
averaged
triple-double.
triple-double. Yo, look at Gussie checking in. What's up, Gussie? How you doing, brother?
There he is. What's up? Yeah, I was telling Gus about the pod the other night, and he's like, "Oh, I'll check in."
Yeah, Gussie, all
there he
excited?
is. Good to see you.
There he is. Good to see you, Gussie.
Good
Thanks
to
for
have
checking
you
in with
in
us.
here.
All right, so to close on the deal, I think my question to you would be, overall, are you satisfied with what the Sixers gave up, including Ben, and got back in Hard?
Yeah, we are definitely a title contender right now with
I
him.
agree.
I mean, everyone's saying we have to make a move, and everyone's saying Morey was not going to be able to get this done, and he did. He waited.
did.
He held his guns and waited to the last day of the trade deadline, and I think he got the nuts a little bit. And well, plus Harden helped us out a little bit too. He was staying out, and he actually said that he wanted to play for us.
I
so
saw
that
that.
helped out too. I mean, if Harden didn't want to come here, then the trade probably wouldn't have got done, but
Agreed.
it did, which I'm happy about. And well, plus another highlight is Harden. So we're at least going to have the guy for 2 years.
Yes.
He signed that contract for 2 years. So
That's right.
So that's good to hear.
Yep, I agree on all fronts. Personally, for me, and Gussie says, nice to have. Hey, Gus, it's nice to have you check in, and we're happy to be back.
Yeah, man.
So I agree. For me personally, I would have liked to see the Sixers bring in someone a little more younger. But I can't say that I'm displeased with the deal. For me, this is going to go down. And look, I have up, from a couple years ago on the wall,
got
the
Simmons.
Process Sports Illustrated. That was Toby, JJ, Simmons, Jimmy, and Ben. And I was all in on that team. And I was a Ben guy and a Joe guy. And I really wanted to see those guys succeed, right? But unfortunately,
That was the Toronto Raptors.
that's
year.
right. That was the Kawhi Leonard double rim bounce
Yeah, that was
that
that
fell.
year.
And that team had a chance to win a championship if they get through Toronto. Toronto went on to win a championship.
Yeah, so they were close. I mean, they had Butler. He was definitely like the closer, and I'm hoping Harden could be our guy. Hey, we need a bucket, 1-on-1, and Embiid's out. Do it, and I think he can. And
Yeah,
I kind of
absolutely.
need that guy.
So Bob brings up an interesting point. Kneebone says, looking dapper, fellas. What's up, Neebs? Thank you, sir. Bob brings up an interesting point that I want to talk about. So Bob says, when you lose a cancer, you're going to be better. But was Ben really a cancer for this team when he hasn't been there forever?
I want to say it wasn't a cancer. Maybe his play was cancerous, like just by not being able to make a foul shot. It was just like a.
But he didn't play this year.
Yeah, well, not this year. I mean, the Sixers are playing good this year.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
mean, they're second in the East. They're playing good right
I mean,
now.
he just hasn't been around, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't call that a
he's
cancer.
talking to his therapist or something.
Maybe he was in remission this year.
He hasn't said a word though since that interview he had.
That's what I'm
when
saying.
They lost. He hasn't said a word.
No, that's what I mean.
Well,
so.
he has said a word. He did DM Shaq.
Did he? Oh, well, Shaq tore him up.
Oh, he's like, well, he didn't say what he said, but he's like, why'd you have to say that?
Fuck Ben Simmons. You know.
Yeah, but he did DM him. I'm like, he can't take criticism at all.
Man.
And if you think he's not going to get any in Brooklyn, you're going to be wrong.
Man, let me tell you something.
He's going to get some criticism.
Shaq don't know what he's talking about. That knucklehead. It's terrible. Yeah. So I don't know, but either way, you know, at some point the levee had to break for Ben to move, right? Doc Rivers looks so relieved today. I got to tell you, Bob, I have not been a fan of how Doc handled the entire Ben Simmons, let's call it an episode, right? And I'm not saying, listen, anybody is in his spots in a tough spot, right? But I, from day one, really didn't like the way that he handled the Ben situation. So I don't really have any empathy for Doc when it comes to Ben, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, Doc. Well, it was all about his comments after the playoff loss.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and Joel said some words, and he was even on Mike Miss, and you know, on the radio, and he was saying, yeah, you know, I didn't call anybody out, but you know, he even blamed him for getting turnovers.
Right.
But you know, he said a couple plays led to it, and I guess it hinted to Simmons, and
but for me,
the guy couldn't take it.
Well, yeah, for me, no matter what, Ben took it soft. I think we all agree. But for me, like, as Joe being a player and like a friend of Ben's, right, he can say that stuff. But like Doc has got to be more careful. And I equate it to, and we're going to talk about NFL, obviously, and of course the Chiefs and Andy Reid are going to come up. I take it to Andy Reid. For years in Philadelphia, we had to listen to Andy Reid press conferences. Tough loss today. I got to do a better job.
Yeah, got to do a better job. That's it.
Time's yours. But you know what? Whenever a reporter would ask a question to him about a player, about a scheme, about a play, what would Andy say? Well, that's on me.
Yeah, he would never throw.
I gotta coach him up better, right? Andy would take all the blame on himself, and while we kind of hate that on one respect, being the media and the fans, and we'd like to hear coaches call players out.
Sure.
Or talk, that's why his team, his players love him, because Andy will never hang a guy out to dry. And I feel like Doc did hang Ben out to dry a little bit.
Well, Doc got the question, do you think Ben Simmons could be like the championship-winning point guard? He's like, well, I don't know about that.
Exactly.
That's like the word he said.
You can't say that.
I mean, it was right after a loss.
Would you, if he was your coach, would you have been happy about that?
I wouldn't even listened. I would have turned it off. I just would have went on vacation.
No, I'm talking about if you were, if.
Oh, would I? Would I say that?
Would you say that about a player of yours?
I mean, that's how he felt at the moment. I mean, I probably wouldn't
you would.
I don't know exactly.
You would.
He answered it honestly, I suppose.
I think that was a bad look.
Yeah, he probably shouldn't have said it, but
I think that was a really
again,
bad
go
look
behind closed doors and figure it out. Right. You
got to take it behind closed doors.
You're still the point guard. Relax. We'll get over it. We still got a good team, but Ben Simmons chose not to do that, and
I agree.
We wanted him back. He didn't want to come back, so fuck him, trade him.
He's gone. And you made a point. I was talking over you a little bit because we were talking to everybody in chat, but you did make an interesting point. He stays in the conference and in the division, so he's still going to play Boston 5 times a year. He's going to play the Sixers 5 times a year. So it is going to be very interesting to see when Ben comes back. Everybody's pointing to that. I think it's March 10th date in Philly, right?
Yeah.
He won't.
Why?
I guarantee you Ben will not be showing up for that game.
Oh, come on, man. He's got to show up.
He will not be showing up for that game. No shot.
It's like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
No way.
Plenty of time.
No chance Ben makes that game.
Yeah, he's going to stay home and wait. And well, if
He'll
you see him in the playoffs, he'll definitely have to be there.
Well, apparently he doesn't show up in the playoffs. So
yeah. Well, he doesn't show up in the playoffs. At least not the Hawks.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Let's talk about the big game on Sunday. It is here. Super Bowl LVI, or that's 56.
We're going right to the Super Bowl?
We're going right to the Super Bowl.
All right. I was going to say, I do want to chime in. Those divisional games were in the conference were amazing.
Amazing. And we're gonna step back because I want to talk about each team, right? And we'll talk about their path there, and we'll talk about them, right?
Good work.
So we got the Rams. One thing that I think is getting overlooked a little bit is that for the second year in a row, a team's getting to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
And that hasn't happened, last year was the first time. And before that, it never happened.
Right.
So now 2 years in a row.
It's pretty wild, right?
So yeah, I mean that's pretty wild. And also I heard it's supposed to be a scorcher. It's supposed to be like 90 degrees on
Yeah.
Sunday. I don't know how it works with the AC or if they
It'll
open
probably
it.
they'll keep it nice and 71
Yeah,
in
but
there.
still 90 degrees.
Yeah.
It's the hottest Super Bowl
It's insane.
going to be played
Yeah, crazy.
in February.
So that definitely plays a factor. But the crazy thing is, and we'll touch on what Gus said. We were talking about Ben coming back. Said it's going to be a banger. How long can he hide? Yeah, I mean,
He's gotta come
there's
out.
no chance he comes back for the game in a month, right? I'll place a bet right now that he won't be there for that game. But at some point, he's coming back here with that team, right? I mean, he can't hide his entire
Eventually,
career
I mean, he's
from coming back here and playing.
he'll be back here eventually. He's
Yeah.
only 25.
Exactly.
It's a matter of time,
Yeah,
man.
he can't hide forever. That's for sure.
That's gonna be a good intro to that, man. The
Oh, yeah.
boos are gonna be amazing. I can't wait.
So let's talk about the Rams because it's basically a home game for them, right? But it's not really like home field. Bob just said it. Even though it's in LA, it's a weak home field in terms of fans.
Yeah, San Francisco took them over.
Yeah.
Bengals travel. They got a really diehard.
Yeah, they're going to travel
Traveling
well.
team.
And also, the ticket prices are insane. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I heard
LA.
$6,000 on StubHub.
Yeah, it's LA. It's an attraction.
They
But
all are expensive.
you cannot downplay what that is for them. Like, they don't have to stay in hotels, right? Like, they're at
They
home.
got their home locker
They're
room.
practicing in their own facility. So, like, all that stuff is definitely an advantage.
Sure.
You know, you're at home. You're living at home. You got your family and friends, everybody there. So it's definitely an advantage that way. But let's start with the Rams. So Earl alluded to it. This playoff run that we didn't get to talk to you fine folks about, but we really wanted to because of COVID, was incredible, right? The divisional rounds were
yeah.
incredible. The conference games were incredible. And I think the Rams are an interesting tale on multiple levels. So first, I'll have to eat a little bit of crow, but not all of it yet until he gets the job done. But I have been critical of Matthew Stafford on this show.
Have
I
you?
have.
Yeah, I guess you have.
I
haven't
have.
you?
Now, I have said that
Shame on you.
I didn't think that Stafford was the guy, right? I've seen him come up small in these situations, never got it done in the playoffs, right?
You were saying Jared Goff was better, right?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. Don't, let's not get carried
I
away
was,
now.
I was putting words in your
Yes,
mouth. Okay,
yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But Stafford was able to get it done, right? And
Yeah.
so now the Rams are there. But interesting thing I want to bring up to you, Earl, where I go with this. Do you know who the Rams' last first-round pick is? I think we talked about this on the show before.
Yikes. Yeah, I heard this too. Shoot. I'll just say Donald.
Jared Goff.
Yeah, that's it.
That was their last first-round pick. And
I knew it was obvious. Yeah, I should have known that.
Do you know when they'll be making another first-round pick?
Oh, it's going to be a long time.
2025.
Yeah, well, that's that thing. They're all in, and look at them. It's paying off. I mean, they want the Super Bowl bid, and they will give up the future for it.
So that's-
and it's working.
well-
You really can't argue with it.
You're a good straight man because that's where I'm going. This
You're going.
team is one that has not been built through the draft.
No, it has not.
It's been built through trades, right? Look
Yeah.
at their guys. Stafford,
Ramsey,
Ramsey, Von Miller,
Von Miller.
Beckham.
Yeah, well, Beckham was a free agent signing, but still, yeah.
Right. Look at what they've done to build this
Big-
roster and give up assets, right? Now, traditionally,
You know, they want to be like the Seahawks. Oh, you got to build through the draft. You know, when it was a Legion of Boom, right?
yes.
Like
well,
that type of deal.
and I think that quietly, the NFL, like, authoritarian or
Some
establishment.
teams will start doing that.
No, I think that they don't like to see this because it breaks the mold, right?
It definitely does.
It's like Billy Bean and Moneyball. In the past, when teams have tried to do this, remember the Eagles and the Dream Team, Javon Curse and Vince Young, and
They're all free agent signings.
all free agent
though.
signings,
They're not,
right.
They're not trading first-round picks for
Right, but
old. Well, not old, but, you know, prime guys, but they
Or-
only have a couple years left.
But it's the same concept, right?
Yeah,
You're not building through the draft. You're giving up assets or you're overpaying guys to win.
yeah.
But the Rams are doing it. And if they win the Super Bowl, they'll have ultimately done it on the biggest stage, and then it doesn't matter that they don't have assets because they won a Super Bowl.
And that's all that matters. That thing, that banner will be up there forever.
Forever,
So
exactly.
it was worth it. You know, they'll sacrifice 5 to 10 years for that Super Bowl. I know that for Eagles, man, that one Super Bowl, we're good for another 10, 20 years.
I said 10. That's a question I wanted to leave you at. So I said
Even if we didn't.
I
do it
said
the-
10. Do you think more than 10? I think it gives you 10 years. So like
10 years. Is
It's
fine.
already
I
been-
mean, I want them to beat the Bucks this year. Believe me, I want them back ASAP.
Right.
Obviously, but you know, At least I watched one Super Bowl.
It's already been. This is going to be to this Super Bowl. It's already been 4 years.
Yeah,
It's
that's
2008,
crazy,
right?
man.
So it's crazy.
Yesterday was the
Yeah,
anniversary of the parade in
That's right.
Broad Street.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
we're getting out there. But for me, for a franchise, it's 10 years. So it doesn't matter that the Rams don't have another pick until 2025 because if they win a Super Bowl.
Well, plus they still got those guys they paid for or traded for.
True.
Stafford will be there for another 5 years, I'm sure. I don't know what his contract is, but and another thing I heard on a different podcast that I won't promote because no one
Good
promotes
man.
us.
That's right.
So stop promoting. And yeah, so they were saying that Matt Stafford, if he wins the Super Bowl, most likely Hall of Famer.
Well, I think the numbers would support that.
Yeah, the numbers do,
Yeah.
and the Super Bowl does.
It puts him over the top.
It does. So anyway, I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah, I think it's hard to disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and then the other quarterback, do we want to go there with Joe Burrow? Joe Burrow, second-year quarterback.
We do.
Second year? Or was it third year?
Wait, what year quarterback is he?
Is he Joe Burrow? He was a rookie last year.
That's right.
Okay, tore his ACL, had a good year.
That's right.
This year, guys, Joe Cool.
Now, as much as I have been wrong about Stafford, who have I been right about?
You were right about the Bengals. You were high on
I
them.
have been high on the Bengals all year, haven't I?
I put a $10 bet like week 17 when they beat the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Just so you know.
That's right. And
I should have done it earlier.
That's right. I have been on Joe
You have
Burrow
been.
and the Bengals, and it's documented on From
Yeah,
the
you
Hill.
have been.
I have been saying it. I said we had a whole discussion where I compared, and this comparison will always go on. Herbert and Burrow, right? Because they're drafted in the same class.
Well, Herbert's a hell of a
He's a hell of a
quarterback.
player, right? But for my money, I said I would take Joe, right? And a lot of people disagreed. A lot of people
Yeah, we
would
did
take
talk
Joe.
about that, the quarterback.
I would take Joe, and Joe's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Joe's having a hell of a year. And to go off from your point is that the future looks bright from these young quarterbacks. Herbert, Burrow, Mahomes,
Allen.
Mac Jones. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
There's some top-notch quarterbacks who have some battles in the playoffs in years to come.
There's a weird balance between leagues, right? Every quarterback you named is in the AFC.
Well, we got Jalen Hurts in the NFC. Daniel Jones.
When you look at the NFC,
I know.
who are your best quarterbacks?
Did I just name all the AFC?
Stafford, Rodgers,
Rodgers got to go in the
Brady
NFC,
just
man.
retired, right? All those quarterbacks you named AFC.
I know, it's crazy.
Every single one.
I was just trying to name all the good young quarterbacks.
How wild is that?
That is pretty wild.
Could you name a good young quarterback in the NFC?
I named Jalen. Well, then I named Jalen Hurts.
Is he a good young quarterback?
Yeah, he's 23 years old. He's
young.
He went to the playoffs.
Is he good?
I think he's decent.
Should we talk about Jalen Hurts now, or do you want to save it for next podcast?
Well, whatever. Is there a time limit on this thing?
There isn't, but I'm gonna halt the Jalen Hurts talk because obviously we got a lot to talk about with the Super Bowl and the teams, right? So
I see how this goes.
right, we're gonna. I want to talk about Jalen Hurts a lot because everybody's been asking me to, but we're gonna do that next week. So
all right, that's fine.
keep that. That's a little teaser. I got a lot to say about Jalen Hurts actually.
Well, I like him, and Russell Wilson's in the NFC, but he's not young.
Again, another guy.
Aaron Rodgers not young, but he's good. Well, that's a whole situation. Is he coming back to? Tom Brady's out.
Ricky just gave us a young quarterback in the NFC.
Kyler Murray. Yeah,
Kyler Murray.
he would probably be the best one, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Even though he chokes in the playoffs.
Is that a moniker for him now?
That he chokes?
That he chokes in the playoffs?
He did big time. They were pretty good this year.
They just got stomped in that game.
Yeah, they didn't have a chance.
They didn't have a chance. Kyler was running for his life. They got stomped.
They were injured, and the Rams aren't injured. They're pretty healthy.
The Rams were just getting after him the entire game. He looked like a scared little kid. Like he just could never get into any kind of rhythm.
Yeah, and they didn't have D-Hop.
Yeah.
That didn't help.
Yeah. The Cardinals are this year are kind of one of those cases where you want to be playing your best football at the end of the year, and I think it's clear the Cardinals were playing their best football at the beginning of the season.
They were.
And then down the stretch, they started to get
the
hurt.
Rams started clicking.
Stumbling, right.
Odell and Vaughn
That's
started
right.
getting
Rams
in there.
started clicking late in the year, and that's what you want to do.
Well, how about
and so did the Bengals.
Yeah, well, a big choker is the number 1 seed, the Titans. They choked big time. Ryan Tannehill, jeez.
I'm glad you brought them up because that's a team that I really wanted to talk about. Let's see what Gus say. Gus said Allen, Burrow, and Herbert in big games. You think, and that's the thing, Gus. Like, now, Jalen hasn't gotten to that big of a games yet, right?
He's got a playoff game experience.
He's got one.
But
do Just read the names that Gus said. He's got Allen, Burrow, and Herbert, and then Hurts. Like, does Hurts belong in those names?
Well, Jalen Hurts is the type of guy where you got to have a good run offense and a good defense.
You're making excuses for him already?
Well, I'm just saying. So, yes, he's not comparable to those guys because Josh Allen was amazing in that Chiefs game. The guy played a perfect game. I mean, can you say Jalen Hurts can have a perfect game? I want to say no. He couldn't. He couldn't do what Allen did.
When you look at what Josh Allen did, right?
And he still lost.
And they still lost, which is crazy. But straight away, I mean, you just know that Jalen Hurts doesn't have that in him, right?
But he's still young, and he still has a shot.
Okay.
That's just me being hopeful as a Philly fan. I got to say it. So I said it. I think he has the potential to maybe be kind of as good as that, but he does need a running game and a good defense. And they have 3 first-round draft picks. I
think we're doing deep dive Jalen Hurts next week.
Yeah, we got to talk. Yeah, we got the Super Bowl.
I think you actually might be surprised at what I think about Jalen Hurts.
Okay. Yeah, we'll save it then.
Yeah. So
more about the Super Bowl.
Let's talk about Super Bowl and the Bengals. The Bengals are the kind of counter to the Rams, right? A team that's been bad for the last decade. They've built through the draft. They got a ton of young studs.
They remind me of the 2017 Eagles.
I agree. A lot of young studs, young talent.
The stars are aligning.
They're hungry. You know, they're beating better teams on the road in the playoffs. And back to what Earl brought up. So there was actually 2 teams that I wanted to talk about from this playoffs that were extremely disappointing. So the first, obviously, has got to be the Titans, right?
And the Packers.
Well, the Packers were 3 for me. I had a team above them. So the Titans, they're going to have to make some changes, right? You can't. This is the 3rd year in a row.
I mean,
they're getting the 1
they're doing
seed,
something right,
but they're losing their first playoff game year after year.
Okay, well, I mean, at least you're getting.
They're like the Buffalo Bills of junior, bro. Like they can't even make the conference championship game.
Well, at least you're not the New York Jets.
That's a great point, actually. Yeah, at least you're not the New York Jets.
I don't know. They are having success.
If you're a Titans fan, are you happy?
No, I would try to get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. That's what I would try to do.
Oh, sure. But what if you can't? And if you try for it publicly, then now Tannehill's going to have to go. And then who's going to play quarterback for you?
Well, you keep on Tannehill. You keep Tannehill, and he'll get you to the playoffs.
He'll get you to the playoffs, and
he'll be good enough.
He'll lose the first game.
And if Derrick Henry was 100%, maybe it would have been different. He was a little slower. Or a lot of people were saying how they didn't run Dante Foreman enough. And they gave Henry the ball a lot.
But Tannehill, let's just call a spade a spade. Tannehill had a good regular season.
He did.
He
had a decent.
He looked horrible in that game. 3 picks, 2 really bad picks. I mean, he played like shit. Yo, Tate, what's going on, brother? Good to see you, man. Thanks for checking in. I mean, literally, Tannehill looked horrible in that game.
He did.
Horrible.
Now, just refresh me here, because this might be a dumb question. Who'd they lose to again?
Who did the Titans lose to? Well,
the Bengals, I know.
Yeah. I was just about to say we were talking about it. I know. That's why I went to him.
Well, it's been a while.
I had
to think about it.
Ago.
Yeah. So, they had a better quarterback, Joe Burrow.
That's it.
They had a better quarterback, and you get in the playoffs, get deep in the playoffs, you got to have a elite quarterback.
Bob brought up the other team I want to talk about, the Cowboys.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not. So I have a thing. I'm not a Philly fan who is going to rag on the Cowboys, because of the Eagles' lack of success or whatever. But if you're a Cowboys fan, you have to take a step back and evaluate the team because, again, this is a year when the Cowboys should have had a deep run in the NFC, right? Like, they were clearly the best team in the NFC East. They were poised to make a good run, and they're one and done in the playoffs.
Once again.
And so you're going to run out of runway with these guys. Like, how much does Zeke have left in the tank?
He's out. They got to get the Pollard.
That's what I'm saying.
Backup running back. Zeke has no breakout ability anymore.
You are going to start to run out of gas. And so
there you go. Don't pick Zeke in the first round next year.
Yeah, like if you're a Cowboys fan, McCarthy, again, all the conversations there about him as a coach. So you have those questions, right? But again, it's like, it's the same players. You moved on from Garrett. You moved on. McCarthy's in there now.
Parsons, the guy's a stud.
I mean, they have a ton of talent at wideout. You got.
Yeah, they do.
You got Cooper. You got CD. Like they got talent at wideout.
Yeah.
You got Gallup. You got Dak, who I think is a top 10 quarterback in the league. Like,
for sure.
This team should not be going one and done, but they consistently do. And these windows don't stay open forever in the NFL, right? You got to win because your linemen want to get paid. Your secondary players want to get paid.
Diggs is going to want to get paid.
Exactly.
He just broke the record, right?
You can't hold on to these
Parsons,
guys.
he's a generational talent.
That's what I'm saying.
I just said, he's going to have top-notch money. They do drafts really well. I got to give the Cowboys some credit. They do.
Tate says, Cowboys trade Zeke, start Pollard, and bring back Romo. Simple.
Romo's hilarious on the
I was gonna say,
announcements.
How do you feel about Romo in the booth?
He was getting some criticism a little bit,
He was.
He's like, what's the one? He's like, Chase is on the case, right? That was a good one. And like I saw on like TikTok or something how it's like really like this like little kid cartoon and it's like a dog and it's just like I don't know. It's like it's already been made up, but I mean he's. Well, and also, here's the thing. I think he's talking too much. Sometimes you gotta let fucking Joe Nance or what's his name, Jim Nance, just let him
Tony,
just let him go with it.
Tony
just
goes
gotta
on
hush it down just a notch.
The streams, right? Like he calls the play, and
he's gotta try to be the predictor.
I like him though.
I like him
I think
too.
he does a good job. Gus says prima donnas and horrible coaching. That about sums up the Cowboys, doesn't it?
McCarthy, yeah. I mean, and their defensive coordinator, he's staying. They're not changing anything over there.
Well, again, they're just going to keep doing it. And, I think with the talent they have, this should be a team that is progressing far further than they are. So for me, I put the Titans and the Cowboys kind of in the same book. If you're stuck at pretty good in the NFL, it's a bad place to be because you're getting late first-round picks, you're getting late second-round picks, right? And your guys are all wanting more money. You're losing guys in free agency, and so everything starts to go down. One thing, so Tate brought up, did we do a QB tier list? We did not. One thing that I wanted to talk to Earl about for next week, so I want to talk about Jalen Hurts a lot. We want to talk about kind of, we'll wrap up the NFL season and then talk about where quarterbacks, where we're going, because obviously, Brady retiring.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Russell Wilson really looking to move, right? So there's a lot to talk about there. So we're definitely going to do that. And then he says in the booth, the Mannings, greater than Romo, greater than Aikman. I actually like Troy better than Tony Romo, I think. Tate. I think Troy,
I like Aikman.
I think Troy's a little more polished, right? I think Tony can get there.
Tony's great, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
now, who is
good.
doing the Super Bowl, do we know?
It depends on what station has it. Right?
I guess I could look.
Yeah.
You want me to look real quick?
Well, because usually, if Fox has it, then it could be Troy and Joe Buck.
I like Buck and Aikman.
Buck and Aikman are the
Michaels is great.
Buck and Aikman are one of the premier crews.
Like I said,
they're very good,
and they flip flop every year.
And they usually have Erin on the sidelines. She's very good. So they're a good crew together.
So it's on NBC. So is that Nance and Romo?
That might be Nance and Romo.
That's gonna be gold.
Yeah,
there's got to be some gold coming up.
Or it could be like Tirico, right? Because they do. Isn't that the Sunday night? They could have the Sunday night crew. So
Tirico. I'd rather have Nance. And
I like Tirico.
You gotta have Nance, man.
I like Tirico. I think he's good.
Well, I mean, but Romo. So would Romo be the co-host? Or who's the co-host?
Well, with Tirico?
Oh, the Monday night.
It'd be the Sunday night crew or the Monday night crew, yeah.
Or we can just have Peyton and Eli do it.
Yeah, just from their couch.
I would love it. Dude, I really look forward to that shit, man. Every time it's Monday night, I'm like, what are you doing? I'm watching Peyton and Eli.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I just had to throw that in. I just thought about it.
That is very, very entertaining.
They got to keep doing that shit.
So,
yeah.
Then the last team, Al Michaels and Collinsworth, Ricky said, that makes sense.
Collins, or that. Like it's NBC, so my prediction is Nance and Romo.
Well, Michaels is CBS's Nance and Romo. Actually, that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
And Michaels is like NBC's headliner, so that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a Super Bowl crew. Michaels and Collinsworth.
I never said I knew what I was talking about. I just kind of know general knowledge of everything.
So, and the last team that I wanted to talk about, which was outside of my two most disappointing, of course, is Green Bay. Now, I will say this about Green Bay. That game was a weird game. To refresh everybody's memory,
I got a little story too.
It snowed in Green Bay, right? The weather was crazy, and realistically, the Packers should have won that game. They lost that game because of special teams. A blocked field goal and a blocked punt that went for a touchdown, right? So realistically, the Packers were the better team that entire game. It was just two special teams plays. So for me, even though the Packers, that was a disappointing finish for the Packers, the game was fine and the Packers should have won. So I don't put them up with the Cowboys and the Titans in underachieving because the Titans and the Cowboys both just got beat, right? Now, the Packers, that was just a crazy game in the snow.
It looked like the Packers were going to blow them out.
It
like
did.
I said, I had a parlay. I picked the Bengals to win the money line, so I was like, I hit. And I was already winning whatever, double my money. And I had I had the I had the Packers. Oh no, I had the Niners. I had the Niners to win.
Okay.
And it's 7-0, and like the Packers are driving,
just dominating.
and they're dominating, and I'm like, oh, so I cashed out. And then like as I cashed out, it just like it totally. I'm like, what the
Everything
fuck?
turned around.
What did I do? Literally, like as I cashed out. So I think I jinxed them a little
You
bit.
did.
I think I did. Like literally, right when I cashed out, it just everything went the opposite way. I'm like, what did I just do? And it ended up hitting and everything. And I'm
Niners
like,
ended up winning.
that's why don't cash out. Just let it ride, man.
You never hedge your bets.
Oh, I let it cash
Just
out.
let them
I'm like,
ride. Yeah.
I felt like shit.
So that's why I don't. That's why for me, in terms of the season finishes, I have the Packers down underneath of because obviously we thought the Packers would go further. But to me,
Yeah.
again, if you watch that game, that was kind of like that's not like a team not playing well or letting you down. It was just weird. Like special teams, it was weird.
But Rodgers have said in the past, hell, I need a Green Bay bye-week game in the cold, and we're going to do all right. That's exactly what they had.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, the special teams, the special teams let them down.
I mean, they didn't score a lot of points.
Well, the Niners have a good defense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They got Nick Bosa over there. He's
Yeah.
good. But I mean, they didn't put up a lot of points.
No.
Regardless, I mean.
Yeah, but I mean that.
Well, and here's what Rodgers was doing. Is what I heard. He was just force feeding Devontae Adams. He was just looking at Devontae,
Isn't
throwing
that
at
what he
Devontae.
always does?
Well, I mean, you looked at Josh Allen. He's like, well, Diggs didn't do shit, but because they were doubling him.
Oh, yeah.
And look what happened. He hit Gabriel
Right.
Davis a bunch of times.
Yeah, just went crazy.
I mean, he threw.
Kid
He
scores
he
4
threw-
touchdowns
He
in the
threw the ball to the guy that was open.
Yeah.
And Rodgers was not doing that.
Okay, that's fair.
That's what I remember. What happened that week?
That's a fair assessment, I think.
I think that's kind of what happened.
All right.
So back
So to the Super Bowl. All that being said, we talked about the teams. We know where they are. Who you got, Earl?
I'm rooting for the Bengals. I like the Bengals, but my money's on the Rams.
Taking the Rams.
And I would say, because I like the story of the Bengals. I mean, like I said, Cinderella type of story. I love Joe Burrow.
Okay.
But I just think, when I think of the Rams, I'm just thinking of, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp. He's the best receiver in the game. Stafford. I'm thinking all these guys that they have, and well, plus they got sacked 9 times with the Titans. He got sacked a shit ton, and I think the Rams have a better defensive line.
Okay.
Plus the home factor, and I'm just like, well, let's be smart with the money. I'm going with the Rams.
Okay.
But I want the Bengals to win.
So I think your sentiments are the general populations, right? I think a lot of people are rooting for the Bengals, right?
No,
like everybody's like, yeah, we
don't say
know.
they're betting on the Rams because I don't think they are.
But I think most people, well, I don't know about betting, right? But I'm just saying, but I think most people think that the Rams are going to take it. I am going to go the other way.
Yeah, sure.
And, of course, I've been riding the Bengals all year. I'm not going to stop now. We don't hedge our bets. We just talked about it. I'm going to take the Bengals. I like the Bengals. I would take the Bengals money line because I like the Bengals outright to just win the game, right? Not going to worry about the 3 or 3.5.
Well, they're plus.
Yeah, I know,
Plus
but I'm not
four.
going to. I'm not going to worry about the points. I'll take the money line. I'll take a little extra chabo.
I hope the Rams win by 3.
Just push it.
Well, I
Just
mean,
push it.
Well, I did money line at the Rams. I said screw that. My big bet. Well, my big bet's my big bet, and I did money line.
Okay, so-
I'm not screwing around with points.
So Tate just brought it up some MVPs. So Tate's got Donovan Cup. Yes, yeah, they could be considered MVP.
For what, the Super Bowl?
Who you got Super Bowl MVP? Who you like?
I mean, I'll just say Stafford, but
He's got the lowest odds on the board.
Well, I mean, if he's going to win the
He's
MVP, he's going to win the MVP.
He's the favorite to win MVP, and then Burrow, of course.
Yeah, I do have some what do you call them? Some pick'ems.
Yeah, you got some.
I do have some
prop bets.
prop bets. Thank you. I do have some firepower.
Fire them out.
So, I think the Gatorade, if the Bengals win, will be orange.
Good. Okay.
And if the Rams win, it's going to be yellow.
Okay. Or blue.
Nah, it's never blue.
Blue's on the board, though. You can bet blue.
I'm saying yellow, but
All right.
But my big one is the kickoff not being a touchback, and I seen this one guy. He was saying it's like 25 out of 27 seasons that it's been not a touchback. It's only been 2 times that it has been a touchback. The first kick.
Really?
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
People were nerves. First game, something like that.
That's weird.
But plus, the guy was showing the stats, and McPherson, the guy, I love McPherson.
Money Mac.
And Matt Gay, they're like in the bottom 20 of touchbacks, so they're not really a high touchback guy.
So that's insider. So you're taking opening kickoff, not a touchback.
I think that's a hit.
Okay. All right.
That's
I like
I saw that one guy. Man, that's pretty smart.
that. I like that.
Okay.
So
that's all I got.
I'll give you two.
And the coin flip tails.
Coin flip tails. All right. So I'll give you two MVP bets that I like. So one of them is courtesy of my friend Matt High. So years ago in the Denver-Carolina Super Bowl, if you remember, Von Miller won that MVP.
On defense.
And we had talked about Von Miller before, and myself, my roommate Chris at the time, and Matt, we all took Von Miller to win MVP.
No way.
And it was like.
So you going with Sam Hubbard?
Well, so it's like I think he went off at like, I want to say maybe like 800 or 900, maybe even 1,000 at that point. So it was a nice hit.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice hit. So Von was on the board this year, and so Matt was like, dude, Von Miller again, repeat? And
I like it.
I said, let's be practical here. When is – so it's hard for a defensive player to get the MVP, right? Especially has a non-quarterback ever won multiple Super Bowl MVPs? And I think the answer is no.
Say it again.
Has a non-quarterback ever won multiple Super Bowl MVPs?
Maybe Jerry Rice.
Maybe.
I know he won one.
He won one. Now, that year he went insane. 11 catches, 250
Yeah,
yards.
so I would say no.
I would say no.
We'd have to fact check
right.
that.
So Von Miller could be the first. So I like a small.
I like that.
I like a very small runner on Von. Now his numbers are big, so you can get good payout for Von.
Yeah, he's heating up too.
You can get a good payout for Von. On the other side, I like Joe Mixon.
Okay,
I think of the Bengals. I think he's getting good odds.
Does the Ram get run on like that?
I think he's going to have a lot of catches out of the backfield. That's where I think, and I think
Joe Burrow doesn't turn the ball over.
No, I mean, guy got sacked 9 times. He didn't put it on the ground once.
He does not. The one interview of the podcast I won't promote was saying how the one defense end is like, dude, Burrow does not turn the ball over.
No.
Like I said, he'll get sacked before he makes a stupid pass.
And he doesn't put it on the ground.
He does not, and that's why that's why I call him Joe Cool. I mean, he won't turn the ball over, and if he does, they're in trouble.
Agreed. So that's our picks. Those are our prop bets.
So, like most weeks, we're opposites. So one of us is going to be right.
One of us is going to be right.
That's why I like it over here.
That's why it's good.
It's going to be a good. It's going to be a good football game. Last of the year, it's sad, right?
I know.
It's fucking sad.
But you know what?
But
after this game, we'll have a lot to talk about capping up the season.
And let's go Sixers.
And then we've got a lot of NBA to talk about.
We got some Sixers, baby. They're going to do it. Broad Street.
Well, that's all we got. It was good to be back. We're going to be back, of course, again next week for a Super Bowl recap.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about all the bets. And we are going to cook up this week in part of our Super Bowl recap. Kind of gave you a little preview as we were talking about, teams that were disappointing from the playoffs this year. We're going to go through. We'll do a quarterback tier list. Of course, I've already alluded to the fact that I've got a lot to say about Jalen Hurts. That and more. Also have an announcement. Earl, give us a kickoff out of here, and then I'm going to leave the people with an announcement. You've been waiting to hear this, too.
The kickoff.
Or give us like a send-off.
Well, it's glad to be back doing the podcast. I was excited, and it's good to be back. We kicked COVID's ass, and we're ready to back talk some sports.
That's right. Don't forget, everybody, the From the Hill podcast. All of the episodes are available for view on YouTube and the iTunes podcast application, and starting this week, will be available on Spotify.
Are you really?
I'm getting a setup.
Check us on Spotify,
as
baby.
we speak. We will be on Spotify as well. Search _the_Hill. Put it in quotations so you don't miss it. Don't forget, click that like button, click that subscribe button, click that share button. It doesn't cost you guys anything, but it really helps us out. That is it. We are out of here.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for checking.
Joining.
Thanks, everybody, for hopping on the live feed and checking in.
It really helps.
I'm Swags. This is Earl. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll see you all next time. Peace.
Peace.